These conference to be a keynote speaker on what we're
You're
doing
making
here.
Wichita famous for it.
Well, I don't know about that, but so yeah, I'm working with a lot of different agencies right now as a consultant. So
Good job. That's something to
appreciate it.
Yeah. Anything else, Officer Nate?
Are the hot team cards still available at the substations?
Yes, Patrol South, they're printing those off all the time for us. They have a stack. Normally they'll give out 10 at a time. If we do it. I want to keep in mind though, when we changed our ordinances, we had to get rid of our panhandling ordinances because it's a First Amendment right. But what we did do is just we said you can have a First Amendment right, but you can't step out into traffic. Same thing with the driver. So having said that, you can't roll out your windows and hand those out. You have to park and safely get out your vehicle and give that to them instead of cash. So that was the whole intent, was really to get people to stop getting money and give those. But now we don't want any transactions going on, while you're driving. It's unsafe. So just keep that in mind. Any other questions? All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Officer Nate.
Thank you.
Oh, here's the guy that's leaving us.
Okay. I'm Officer Stephen Thornton, being policing officer for 49 beat, and I'm covering 48 beat for next week or so. We had a fatal shooting last night. I really can't say much on it at all because our detectives are still interviewing people as we speak. We will get more information hopefully by morning time, but it was nothing random. Everybody were in the same house. That's all I can say on it, unfortunately.
Can you give us an address? Nope.
2600 North Park,
Thank you.
Arkansas.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah.
just the block it was
Right,
in.
I get it.
So, in the news, Trico was in the news, was a week ago. The building's on fire again. Our department has been in communication with the owner, and we're working together to come up with some viable solutions for the management of that company, or that building, I should say. Officers wanted me to let everybody know that they assisted with the candlelight vigil for a victim of a homicide that occurred 2 years ago at 13th and Broadway last week. It was a good turnout for that family. And then, a community policing officer also wanted me to advise everybody that he is working on putting up cameras at 11th and Washington to help address some of our dumping concerns we've been seeing at that intersection. So, it's not gonna be the same cameras Officer Sweetall was talking about. These are pole cameras, something like for hunting. But it'll allow us to see who's dumping what, and then we can charge them accordingly. So that's all I have for the north end of Baptist.
Questions for Officer Thornton?
I have a comment or a question. I understand that the Trico is operating in a condemned building. Is that true? I thought I'd read that somewhere. Oh,
That building's gigantic. I will say that I went out there for the first time after that fire. I talked to the owner. He said it's about 75,000 square feet. And it's not just one building. So that may be true. I can't say it's true about all of the buildings inside that
right.
compound, I should call it.
So,
But I don't know if anybody's necessarily operating anything out of there right now. It's just, yeah. Like I said, I'm trying to work with him so we could do a better job of securing it. But the issue is so big, he's having a hard time doing that. So again, we're working with him, see what we can do to address these issues that he's experiencing right now.
So I'll add on a little bit, just so police are working thank you for your
Right.
work on this.
Yeah.
I talked with MABCD last week
Oh.
about this, and the building is deemed a dangerous building, which means they have to keep it secure, which is what you guys are helping them with. But it is not before the fire, it was not in danger of collapse. So they can't make them take it down unless it's in danger of collapse. Now, they're going to assess it after all of this and see where we're going to go from there, which is why the police are so heavily involved. I think we have a meeting tomorrow to talk about this more, so,
Is that right?
yeah. Anything else for Officer Thornton? You have something?
I just wanted to ask.
Yeah.
So what is the process for a building to be condemned and taken down? What? I mean, fire
Yeah.
department's fought this fire for how many different times, costing taxpayers money and them
Right.
on the scene. What has to happen for the building to be taken down?
Well, even if we, again, so I talked to MABCD last week about this, even if we said it needed to be taken down, it's so expensive, the owner would not be able to afford to do that. So that's why we're working with police, fire, MABCD to assess, okay, what's the condition of the building now and how should we move forward? And it may be taking some of it down, but we have to do the assessment first. So. Anything else? Anything else from the audience? Thank you, Officer Thornton. This is his last evening with us, I think. So he's got a promotion. He got a promotion. So.
Yeah, so again, man, great working y'all, it was just short.
Has he been promoted to detective?
Detective.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Well, I'm gonna let my counterpart take over.
Thank
I'll see
you.
y'all.
Oh, yeah.
Officer Tejeda.
All right. I am Officer Tejeda with Patrol West Bureau. 12 beat is my beat of choice, which is Delano Riverside area, and nothing new is going on in the Delano area, so we don't have to talk about anything there. But first, actually, we got a new Sergeant Woodrow, community policing out west. We have a new captain, Captain Duff. He's out west also. Our introduction to him is that we learned last week that we, out of the top 10 larceny areas, Patrol West had the top 5. So, but then I was later told that that's actually not a good thing. So, in response to that, what we did last week, and we're still doing it, we did a special assignment with larceny with an undercover car and uniform officers in the hotspot areas and in the hotels. It's the catalytic converters, not Cadillac converters. Catalytic converters were big, license tags, those were big things to steal. So early in the morning and even in the afternoon, we had officers all week rolling around looking for bad guys. And of course, we're not gonna find any bad guys because we're looking for them. So we did that last week. This week, we're taking turns. Today I did it for a couple hours, me and another officer. We have a warrant list of people that have theft warrants. Any type of theft, larceny, shoplift, stealing anything. Go and see if they would like to go to jail. And nobody answered the door today for us. But that's what we're doing to address these crime trends of the larcenies and the thefts with the theft warrants and we'll continue to do it, especially in the spring and summertime, because numbers are going to go high. As it always does when it gets warmer out. I've said this many times, but this time, I don't know if it's true or not. Exploration Place, if you haven't been by there, they're doing a whole bunch of renovation. Part of the money for the renovation in the plaza area, they're getting gates. They're going to put gates locked in the front and the back. And last time I was told was 2 weeks ago, the first week of April, they will be installed and ready to go. Meaning, after a certain time, nobody can come in and out. If you want to watch the light show, you can park on the other side of the river in the free parking area, also public parking area. We will have access to keys. We will not tell you where they are, because it's none of your business. So, that's Exploration Place. Now, last week also, I did not go to the meeting, but our lieutenant did, with some of the businesses on West Douglas and city leaders about parking, because that's right now, that's a hot topic. And from what I gathered, I talked to my lieutenant before here, an idea is having 2-hour parking from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. That's 12 hours, not 2 hours, but no parking in front of the businesses for more than 2 hours. So that is an idea being thrown up. You know, it's gonna be a whirlwind for the next couple months, but that's what we have right now in terms of parking on Douglas. Has nothing to do with west of Sycamore or the other side of the river or whatever. So I emailed the vice president of operations today for the Windsor to introduce myself, tell him what I do. He hasn't responded back. I emailed the owner, Lou, in December. He responded back. He's looking forward to working with us to identify crime trends, to kind of be proactive. So, it's just gonna be a mess. It's gonna be a mess, that area with the parking. And then you got, on the other side of Douglas, you got buildings, you got the apartment, another apartment and a hotel being built, so. Other than that, it's not very busy at all.
You're supposed to say it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be fun, no, there's no doubt, it's gonna be fun, but it'll be busy,
All right.
yeah, so, that's all I have.
Questions for
Uh,
Officer
Pearl
Kay?
West.
Okay. Anything from the audience? Yep.
What's that?
Anything else from the audience? Any questions? All right, thank you for joining us tonight. All right, fire.
I'm Captain Chris Fleming from Fire Station 7 over on Coolidge. And we've had, last month we had a couple fires in the area. One was over on water in a vacant house. We had some vagrants that were trying to, had a warming fire inside. So caused about $20,000 to that house. And then over on 18th Street, had a pretty significant fire, cost $70,000. The occupant placed hot coals in their trash can. So those don't go in your trash can for multiple days afterwards. So kind of be aware that, you know, if you have a fire, if you have fire in your fireplace, make sure that it's cooled down, watered down. Just don't put them in your plastic trash can. It tends to end up bad. As of today, we are at 12,885 alarms. So most of those, probably about 80% of those are medical alarms. We have, in the last month, we have seen a kind of a scary trend of overdoses. People with getting Oxycontin off the streets and that are being cut with fentanyl or meth. We're not really sure where that is. But we've ran, just at our station alone, in this area, we've ran about 9 in the last month, so which is very unusual. So people that are buying their drugs off the street, they think it's legit, they're not, so they're cut with it. We actually, one of our crews ran a person a couple days ago, and then the next shift, they ran him again, and he was deceased. So they need to be aware of that, and we're communicating with the police officers, and we are kind of working on a plan of identifying a major problem in the area that's not normally here. Treatco was Treatco once again.
You want to add anything?
No, it's not a safe building. So,
Yeah. Is the fire out?
yes.
Okay, so you guys aren't out there?
Yeah, we know it. Yeah, no.
We're not out there
no,
anymore.
We're not out there again. Last time I was out there, the only part that was operational was the front little office area, and that was the only part that was operational. And I know that guys said this last time they were going in, they were told to go in to do some investigation with some other agencies, and they heard pieces and cracks and concrete falling and everything else behind them, so not safe. So it's a scary structure. So, but other than that, it's out.
Yeah,
Once
thank
again.
you. Thank you.
Any questions?
Questions for the captain?
No questions.
Anything from the audience? All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
We
being
do
here.
have time change coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Time change. You spring forward. Change your battery in your smoke alarms. Make sure that we usually tell this to little kids, but make sure that you guys know how to get out of your house. Make sure you guys have a fire escape plan. We were in our house for about a year, and I'm like, where's our meeting place? That's what I do. And, and my kid, and everybody gave a different answer. So if you have kids, or if you have people in your house, ask them where you're supposed to go in case you get out of, just ask when you get home. Because I think you'll be surprised that you don't have the same answers. So communicate that ahead of time, so that when, if by chance, God forbid, anything ever happens, we get there, we actually know either somebody's out or they're not out, because you guys have communicated and planned that ahead of time. So other than that, that's it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. All right. We have one scheduled item on our public agenda tonight, and that is Census 2020. So I think we have a guest here to speak about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm Jason Neal with the Census Bureau, and as you might be aware, the census is almost here. So in just a couple of weeks, we're gonna attempt to deliver to every household an invitation to respond to the census. So, once 10 years, you know, hopefully what the census is important for, funding for education and for highways and for healthcare. And on top of that, we have to do our redistricting, so all our public officials will be represented proportionally for us. So there'll be changes, of course, because Wichita's growing so much and changing every day. So you need to be aware of that and make sure you're counted. It's not a sample, it's not a survey. So if you don't respond to us, there's a good chance you might get missed, and we don't want that to happen, because that means we lose funding, we lose representation, we lose a long list. We only have 5 minutes, so you get the picture. We're still recruiting for jobs. If you've already signed up for us, we're making just 2 or 3 or 4 or 5,000 calls in the next month, so hang tight if you haven't. I have some information over here, you can still apply with us. Or if someone needs a little extra money that you know, or owes you money, $16.50 an hour, it's 8 cents a mile. If you have to respond to us, you can go online this time with the census, you can give us a call. You can also, we'll get that paper form, and you can do it that way. If that isn't happening, we're gonna start going door to door in May, and that'll wrap up the end of July. Now, you're gonna know somebody that says, I never got a form, and what are you gonna tell them? Anybody? So they, yeah, right. So even if you didn't get an invitation, and truth be told, people throw it away, they think it's junk, so I don't know. But regardless, even if you didn't get an invitation, you can still respond. You can go online, you can come here to the library, and they'll have the website and the phone number and some people that can guide you in the right direction. Also, there's some great help with us at the Evergreen Center, and so you can go there, and we're working with them to make sure that people that are coming in there and needing help or assistance or the internet can respond to us that way. Okay, so keep it short. And Renee, please take some information over there. Any questions?
Questions from the board? On the census? Anything from the audience?
Forms come in the mail?
Yes.
Or they put on the door?
It's gonna be in the mail for all of
And
Sedgwick
then
County.
if we don't send it back,
Then we send you a couple nagging postcards. That's still cheaper than Jason can come to your door. And then after that, then we start going door to door. Yeah.
All right.
I will stick around afterwards, because I know somebody's gonna have a question about 20 minutes from now.
Thank you, Jason. All right, and now we have public agenda. If anyone is here to speak about something that's not on our agenda, anybody? Okay, all right. So our first new business tonight is we get to do something really fun. Okay, so tonight we have 2 artists here that are going to take some input from us. So if you're familiar with Keepers on Parade, District 6, each of the districts are going to get 2 of those. District 6 is going to get one in Manisa Park and one in Orchard Park. So we have the artists here tonight that have been selected to do those 2 keepers. So I'm going to turn it over to them to let them tell us their story and what they're here to get input on. So I met Lindsay, right, Lindsay? And I did not.
Priscilla Brown.
Priscilla?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So I don't know which of you wants to go first, or?
Sure. Good to meet you, Priscilla. My name is Lindsay.
Yeah, so Lindsay, could you stand up here for us? Thank you.
My name is Lindsay Pernodal. I'm an artist. I work at the Sedgwick County Zoo, actually, I do the art there. And I came here tonight because I wanted to learn more about District 6, and especially I'm assigned to the Orchard Park one. So my statue will go to Orchard Park. So any background stories that you might share about Orchard Park or about District 6, what industries have been important. In particular with Orchard Park, I was thinking about doing something related to the history of the orchards that were there. So any tips that you might have as to where I could find out more information about that too.
So anybody on the board have questions, comments?
I can't
Anything?
remember his name, but it was Apple Orchard.
Yeah. His name was Hoover,
That's right, Hoover's.
and it was like
That's right, it was Hoover,
late
wasn't it?
1800s, early 1900s. But that's about all the information. I saw like one newspaper article about it, but.
That's all.
Okay.
Your one place to go is the Register of Deeds.
To what?
The Register of Deeds
Okay.
would have
To
a
get
lot
more
of good information on that land. There might be some personal things in there also that people have registered.
And because I'm a wildlife illustrator at the zoo, I was thinking about including, natural wildlife too. So if you have any input on that, you can contribute that too.
Lots of squirrels.
Lots of
Yeah,
squirrels.
lots of-
Sure.
That's
For
right.
sure.
Raccoons,
Raccoons.
possum.
And then just like in general, what industries have been important to, I guess, this district in Wichita?
I don't really know.
Industries in the past that have been important, now I live in Indian Hills, but in this district was the aircraft industry.
Yeah, of
This was
course.
a lot of the World War II veterans moved in to District 6 into the Indian Hills area and Orchard Park area and such.
Okay.
The houses started getting built up in the 50s after Hilltop was built. But you know, a lot of, yeah, and then it came this way north.
Yeah, it went into the Orchard Park area. or
Yes.
Hoover's Orchard area at that time. So,
You said in the 50s.
Yeah, in the 50s, it
when the
started.
war was over, people were coming home to establish homes.
It's like all research of the history of it.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people who came to Wichita because of the aircraft industry, were attracted. And there was, for example, my father, who was a World War II vet, he and my mother moved here because of aircraft, after he had finished his GI Bill. And but I think you'd find a lot of World War II vets who started or moved in there, began their families.
Okay.
It's a big emphasis.
And public too.
Yeah.
What about the refinery, Derby, and is that part of this district?
On 21st Street, that area? Let's see, I'm trying to think where yes, it is. The line in there goes like this. This is why I have to think about that. Yeah. Yes, when I think about that.
And the grain elevators.
Yeah.
The green elevator.
And the stockyards.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Stockyards, yes.
Can you tell me more about the green elevators and stockyards?
Where were the stockyards?
21st Street.
North of 21st, east of Broadway. Maybe a couple blocks east of Broadway.
And they were really windy one time.
You could really sit on those lines.
Yeah.
And they had the coolest bank, the Stockyards Bank.
Oh,
Had-
yes.
Had the horns on it and everything, it was marvelous.
I think
But,
that's,
But the source for you might be Barbara Myers, who does the,
Oh, yeah.
on Facebook, she does the Wichita history.
you see Facebook?
Yeah. And in fact, you might contact Kathy Morgan
Yes.
in the planning department of the city. And they have a historic preservation board that Barb has been part of, but they might be able to have some information for you too.
Thank you.
That she's
I
working
have an
on.
idea.
Yeah.
Active Aging has a lot of historical articles, so they might be a lead. It's a newspaper, Active Aging, isn't that right?
Uh-huh. Yep.
It's changed to Be Active Age now, so.
Just Active Age.
Yeah.
All right.
You might go to the Wichita Museum also, or is that what it's called?
Wichita Historical Museum.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a lot of things there that covers the whole city, that you can find the items that would be in this area.
I think that's it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right.
And I'm Priscilla Brown. I'm a local muralist, illustrator. I've done a lot of work for the Horizontes project and the Dunbar Theater, and I've also done a mural for Mac Adams Park. So District 6, this is kind of like my area because I grew up in that area. I went to North High and John Marshall, so I just want to know what colors, what would you like to see represented on the statue from Manissa?
What colors?
What colors? Do you think there's a certain color? Maybe would you like to stick with the red and white thing, close to North High? Or
Yes.
yeah.
Just not blue.
No blue, not blue.
That's right, no blue. No blue, that's right.
My grandmother was an ace, so she and my mother and I, we were Redskins.
Why no blue?
East High.
Oh.
Exactly, yeah.
It's just a smart aleck smart.
Anything else, patterns or?
You know, that sets in that kind of historic setting with the bridge and then just the North High and then some of the art or artistic elements that are at Manissa.
Native American thing.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't the art style at the Manissa Community Building, another kind of the coloring and the
Yeah.
inside, is that another rim bridge?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else?
The Manissa Bridge there at North High, the texture on that is pretty neat.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that around North High, on its architecture, it does have a lot of patterns that maybe you could pull some inspiration from, and the same thing with Marshall. Around like the top of it on the original sections of the building.
Anything else?
Doesn't the bridge over there have depression era glass incorporated into
Yes.
it?
So I think they ground it up, right?
There was quite a bit of effort to get that in too there. Wasn't there a particular type of concrete that was really just particular to Wichita? Which you see it caving like in the Doggin building or something like that. So there's textures and materials there that are unique just to Wichita as well as that specific area.
I think in one of the, so when you come into City Hall, there's, on the first floor, there's all these cabinets that have some memorabilia and things like
Yes.
that. And I think the information on that, what Bill's talking about, is in one of those cabinets. It shows the Depression era glass and talks about that.
A lot of the field buildings are Art Deco,
Yeah.
too, that doesn't exist a lot of places anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe some Hispanic imaging.
So if we keep up, you're gonna be like Johnny Cash with his 49, 50, 50, 152.
Well, isn't North High still the most, got the most very mixed group of ethnic groups going to school still in the state of Kansas?
It's very diverse.
I mean, it was the last census, I don't know what it says, it was really unique in that way too, with regards to just a bunch of different types of people living there.
So something to represent unity.
Yeah.
Alright, thank you for your time.
So what's your time frame?
June.
End of June?
End of
Yeah,
June?
we get the statues delivered in March, like
Around the end of the month.
And then the end of June, we have our ribbon cutting or whatever?
I think so, or that's to the, when we have it initially.
Okay.
We have it installed.
So
So will you be painting or doing your artwork on the premises where the keeper will be?
They will, deliver it to our workplaces.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they're coming back and pick them up?
Yeah. It's 6 foot tall, they're pretty lightweight, they said if it was one person, you could move around yourself.
Really?
They're fiberglass.
Yeah. Huh. All right. Well, thank you for coming and visiting with us tonight. We really appreciate it. We'll look forward to the new keepers, so. All right. We have, one zoning case tonight, and I think Philip is here to help us.
Hi, good evening. My name is Philip Ziegenberger, Associate Planner with the Metropolitan Area Planning Department. If you guys want to contact for Kathy Morgan, the phone number for the planning department is 268-4421. And then the receptionist can transfer you to Kathy Morgan's desk there. So saves you a trip online and try to look that up. So anyway, tonight we have a zoning and a CUP case that go together. It's located off of I-235 and Amadon. Amadon's kind of just short little spit of a road. There's not much to it. So it's east of Meridian, if you're familiar with the 235, K96 Meridian interchange. What's most notable is that East or West 40th Street was just constructed as part of this whole highway project. That's the road that actually fronts this entire property, if you're familiar with that. You can also see that on your map. What's going on is there's a piece of it, the western chunk of it, which is a more triangular shaped portion of it, is the only portion that's having to be rezoned. It's currently zoned SF5, single family residential. The rest of the property is already zoned GC general commercial, so they're rezoning that triangular piece to GC general commercial to match the rest of it. In addition to that, they're going to be creating a brand new community unit plan, which is a commercial project that's over 6 acres. Anything that's commercial that's over 6 acres has to have a community unit plan. It's a governing document to make sure that there's harmonious development within the larger commercial property. What's unique about this is that if you look where Amadon is, the western portion that's getting rezoned is not part of a CUP because it's residential. Everything east of it, though, there's the property that's immediately east is part of the Word of Life CUP, and then you go a little bit further, and there's a 4.4 acre tract of land that's part of the Duke's Diamonds CUP, and that's actually going to be removed from that one. And overall, it's going to be one brand new CUP. So the Word of Life community plan will cease to exist, and then the Duke's Diamonds CUP will be amended to remove what is labeled now as Parcel B, and it's undeveloped out of that. So really, once you get to the Ball Diamonds, that's going to stay Duke's Diamond. It's a little piece of undeveloped land just on the west side of Ball Diamonds and Duke's Diamonds there. This will eventually become the Harbor Isle Community or Commercial 2 Community Unit Plan. And they're just looking to no intended uses that we were made aware of, just looking for harmonious commercial development, broaden the range of uses by rezoning the residential property to the west. Overall, the general provisions were pretty in line with what staff was looking for. We had a couple of recommendations that through the discussion up to and then at the Planning Commission, the applicant has agreed to. So everything we're talking about now has already received an approved recommendation from the Planning Commission about a week and a half ago. And then it'll be going to City Council here probably in the next couple of weeks following the DAB meeting. Probably the most notable, usually is everybody's most concerned about is what's going in there or what can't go in there. Staff recommended a few other restrictions on the site in terms of the uses. The applicant listed adult entertainment establishments and sexually oriented businesses and commercial placement residences. Those are pretty standard ones for anything near residential areas. Staff recommended including recycling processing centers, a reverse vending machine, animal care general, which is like a vet clinic, a kennel or boarding breeding training facility, and outdoor storage as a principal use. You can have outdoor storage as long as it's accessory to a use that's outside. An example of that would be if you go to Lowe's and they store plants outside during this time of year, that's outdoor storage, but it's not the primary use on there. And then the final one is a vehicle storage yard. Obviously, we don't want vehicles just lying about, especially on highway corridor that people can see. When the property is platted, it's going to have 7 reserves or 7 parcels and 4 reserves. access control on and off of West 40th Street, as well as a new road they're going to be building, will be determined at that time. If there's any parcel that doesn't have access to one of the public roads, there'll be internal circulation that you see in most large commercial projects around Wichita. The community unit plan drawing had the standard language for landscaping, lighting, drainage, and crosswalk circulation, everything up to the code. So anywhere commercial property and abutting residential property, which is next to the north, there's going to be required screening, which is a minimum of a 6 to 8 foot fence, masonry wall, or landscaping. Street or parking lot lights have to be no more than 15 feet tall if they're within 200 feet of residential zoning. If you're further than 200 feet, they can go up to 24 feet. As I mentioned, crosswalk circulation will be a part of that, and parking will be to the standards of the code to make sure there's sufficient parking for whatever it is that goes in there. There's going to be screening of the mechanical equipment, dumpsters, kind of all that equipment type stuff is pretty standard language, and it's going to be in there. One thing that staff recommended be added to that, and again the applicant has agreed to this, is they were missing language regarding architectural controls, basically meaning all of the buildings that are being developed there will have a harmonious look to them. They're all going to follow the same general pattern and color. Limiting metal as an exterior feature, as well as limiting vivid colors as a predominant color they can be used as accents on their buildings all along there. North Ammonen Avenue, as it is right now, will be vacated at the time of planning, so that street is going to cease to exist. They may use it as a driveway into the commercial area, but it's not going to be a public road anymore. What you can see on the plan, they are going to be building a new right-of-way. Right now, when they built 40th Street, they actually put a driveway there. They're going to be having a new street to be dedicated at that time. And they, from what they talked about in the Planning Commission, they worked with the property owner to the north for it to curl around and potentially end up back at Seneca if it were to go through the other person's property to the north. That would be their intention to build that, but at least there will be a street going north and south of this commercial development, potentially to curve around and connect back east with Seneca. Signage will be to the code for the general commercial district. Most notable with that is that things such as portable signs, billboards, off-site signs, flashing or moving or rotating signs are to be prohibited. Everything will be a monument-style signs, pole signs, like big structural signs, limited to 25 feet in height along the highway, unless they're along the highway frontage, and then they can be 35 feet in height. I'm not going to go through the details of the different signage per parcel if you have any specific questions, but more for the sake of time. Staff was in agreement with what was presented, and there were a couple changes that we recommended, and the applicant was in agreement to that. As I mentioned before, there is some residential zoned land to the north. They have kind of done some development, but directly abutting this land, there is no residential property in terms of houses being built right now. That could obviously change in the future with the amount of growth that's going on. As we said before, to the east is Deuce Diamond, so you have the ball fields in addition to the USD 259 bus barn, as well as I believe it's a driver training track that they've got there. So there's commercial already in the area, there's some residential to the north, but the restrictions that we have in our code provide that buffering and kind of that mitigation factor for when residential would be developed to the north of it. Regarding its compliance with the comprehensive plan, technically this area is labeled as new residential. A comprehensive plan is guidelines. However, if you look at it, there's most of the property is currently zoned commercial, general commercial, and it's along the highway frontage, which is generally where you like general commercial to be. I'll try not to say generally anymore. And so if you look at that, in the area there's some commercial as well as a commercial industrial or commercial residential mix. And so we feel that this is still in the spirit and intent of the code based on what it's currently at now. As I said before, it received a unanimous recommendation from the Planning Commission. I do know that there was some concerns from residents who live on the south side of I-235. They may be in the audience today. I know the agent is here for the applicant. I believe they've had some discussions with residents in the area. I think it was about the drainage on site going into a creek that goes under the highway. I'm not gonna speak too much of it because I don't know all the details, so I don't know if anything wrong, but I believe some of those concerns were brought up, which may be part of the discussion this evening. Since it's already gone to planning commission, its protest period is going on right now, so if there's anybody here who is looking to protest this case, you can submit a protest petition to the city clerk by 5 p.m. this coming Thursday. If protest petitions are filed in this case, city council will be required to hear it. If 20% of the land area within 200 feet around protests the case, then they require higher voting measure from the city council in order to approve it. I think that's all I got for you from a staff perspective. A lot of detail on this case, but I can send for any questions you have for me.
Questions from the board?
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Are casinos under a different rule zoning requirement at all? I mean, could a casino be put in here?
No.
No.
I don't know exactly where they fit, but knowing they take special approval, like, gambling is not allowable in the state of Kansas by right. There had to be special permission for the casino down by Mulvane. So I don't even know if it's written in your zoning code because you can't just go and open casinos wherever you want. You would need special approval from the state to do that. So.
Thank you.
Other questions from the board? All right, you have a question? Okay, I just wanted to check. I will open it up to the public. If you have a question or a comment, if you'll come forward, address the board, state your name, and we'll let people talk for 5 minutes each. So anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this or have a question? Nothing? All right, I will bring it back to the board then. Any other questions or comments? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I move we approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Welcome back.
I do want to thank the applicant for spending time with the neighborhood before it got here. I think that made a lot of difference, so thank you for that. Okay. Issues, any issues or concerns from DAB members? Yep.
I got an email asking if there was an ordinance related to, in this neighborhood, I think it's on the border, there's a big semi that has a really bad smell coming from it. The other night it was really windy and it smelled, the whole block. I think it's horse manure or something, I don't know. They were wondering if there was any type of ordinance that's impacted by that, or can you just have bad smelling things in a neighborhood? It's a kind of a huge semi.
It's a nuisance thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can certainly, do you know what the address is? Or
Yeah,
Can you
it
send
will-
us can you send the information?
Yeah, I can send
Would
it
you
to
do
you.
that?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay,
Porter is north of Riverside.
yeah,
It was north, north quarter, like 2,400 blocks north quarter.
2,400.
Yeah.
That would be north of 21st, so that's.
Okay, we'll send it to her.
Yeah.
It might be
Come on, Joel, it's your last time, you can get out of here later.
yeah, it depends on, even if the vehicle might not even supposed to be parking there
It's pretty
anyway
big.
because of the big
Yeah.
vehicle, but, so 2,400.
Well, we had a school bus driver on our street years ago, and she had to go park the school bus somewhere else,
Yeah.
so she wasn't allowed to park it.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll send the address.
Okay. Thank you. Any other issues of concern?
Could someone repair the clock at the park on 13th, near 13th and Market?
So the Otis Park,
Yes.
we can check.
It shows the wrong time.
Might just be permanently.
It might be, it might be.
Might
But
wait
I-
till after, the spring.
Spring forward, that's right. That's right. All right, we'll
Yeah.
check on that at Otis Park. All right. Any other issues of concern? Neighborhood reports? Anybody got any neighborhood reports for tonight?
Oh, I do have one more thing.
Okay.
The alleyway between Salvation Army, we're going downtown, we're downtown.
Uh-huh.
Salvation Army and the parking lot, the alleyway that is on the east side of the Salvation Army, okay?
Okay.
Off of Third Street, there is a sign that says one way pointing, south.
Okay.
If you continue on the alleyway, there's no other sign, including on Second Street, indicating one way, same way. So as a result, there's been a number of close calls of people going in the alleyway the wrong way. So I was wondering if city could put up a couple of more signs behind the Salvation Army and at Second Street, indicating the one-way direction of that alley.
We can check with Public Works and see if they.
It's across the street, and it's on the other side of Third Street from the YMCA.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any neighborhood reports, anything from any neighborhoods? The only update I have is that after tonight, there will be 2 DAB openings. So if anyone is interested, in the next couple weeks, I'll be making that determination. So if you're interested, you can go out to wichita.gov under Get Information, and it has city boards and commissions. And if you go there, it has DAB, and there's an application to fill out, and those come to me. And like I said, in the next couple weeks, I'll be making that decision. So I'd appreciate it if you're interested. Our next board meeting, DAB meeting, we do not have a mid-month meeting this month, so our next meeting will be April 6th here back at the Evergreen Library. All right? Yes.
I'd like to share that we're going to have a safety and situational series begin March 11th at the Evergreen Neighborhood City Hall. And it's at 6:30, Wednesday, March 11th. And our first topic will be safe encounters with law enforcement. And we've partnered with the Wichita Police Department, Criminal Martial Arts, and the Evergreen Neighborhood City Hall to start talking about topics that kids are encounter, parents give them information if they need to know. So when we talk about safe encounters with law enforcement, like when you get pulled over, the do's and don'ts, any questions, I fielded some questions that I passed on to the police department, just so they can address different questions that folks have. Also, you got law enforcement knocking on your door. You're scared, what do you do? Somebody stops you don't know if they're legitimate, and so just all kinds of, encounters with law enforcement, the do's and don'ts, and you've had some people get killed just kind of reaching for something they shouldn't. So, just kind of covering those issues. So we're gonna start with that. So that's next Wednesday, 6:30. If you know parents, grandparents, kids, whatever, just teens, young adults, all are welcome. It's a free event.
Thank you, Angela.
Good, Evergreen.
At the neighborhood center.
Yeah.
All right, I think we are adjourned. Thank you all for coming this evening.
See you.